I just switched the microphone, so it should sound a little bit better now. You might hear some background sounds. I'm not sure, but guys, good morning, good night, good afternoon, good evening. I appreciate you guys coming on. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for joining us like daily. I mean, at various times throughout the day. Usually, we come on. The goal is 10 a.m. JST, but we come on around the same time each day. So thanks for coming on, guys. This is the official Black Experience Japan's BEJ's live streaming channel. My name is Ranzo, and I'm your facilitator, host, dude, talking head, whatever you want to call me. We're here today for another live stream. Yesterday was pretty chill. It was a sort of, it was a vibe. We had, some of you guys called in. You shared your talents with us, which we greatly appreciated. It was pretty cool. So welcome, welcome, welcome. This one again, the goal is for this to be a brief one. Coming to you guys live from Tokyo, Japan. Thanks again for you guys who come on. I was telling my wife just now that I'm like, oh, I'm doing these live streams, and there's, I'm in the midst of this process of thinking about potentially reducing it, but I just like doing the live streams too much. So I don't know. I don't feel like I'm about to stop, because I enjoy doing this. I'm like, man, what? It's become a part of my daily routine now. It's hard to shake this habit. Uh, but yeah, so welcome, Earl. Thanks for coming on. Aloysius, how you doing? Endeavorin, how you doing? Let's see who else. Tipito, how you doing? Juanita, what's up? Welcome, welcome. And for those of you guys who are watching but haven't commented, welcome. Good morning again. It's another day in Tokyo, Japan. It looks like it's raining, but it's not. So I'm trying to figure out why these people are like passing by with umbrellas and stuff. I don't even know. I don't know what's going on. Like, isn't it raining? Like, is it raining? But the roads look dry. But people are just walking by with umbrellas. It's very strange. There's no water coming from the sky. The sun is not out. It's overcast, like no blue in the sky at all. And everyone that walks by, rides by, is holding an umbrella. Not sure why. That's very strange. But anyways, how are you guys doing this morning? It might be Monday in Japan, but it's still a wonderful and happy Sunday in Toronto. Cool, understood. You guys are 13 hours behind. How's the past? Bagman said, don't shake the habit. These live streams are part of my morning routine now. Yeah, I know. It's like, I don't know, like literally, I'm just like, if we should talk about like, okay, I'm investing a lot of time, of course, doing these live streams. In terms of like receiving something back, I'm not getting anything back, but I just like doing it. I like doing it. Like I really enjoy it. So I think if I can reduce the time and maybe do it a little bit earlier in the daytime, in the morning, like earlier than 10, like maybe, I don't know, 8 o'clock or something. Maybe it's, it will be something that's easier for me to just like, just do it without sacrificing much, and maybe just reduce the streams to no more than 1 hour, like maybe even less, but 1 hour maximum. I think we should be able to do it for a bit because I enjoy doing it. Yeah. Endeavor win. Pretty overcast here in South Korea too. Might rain, might not. That's what it looks like in Tokyo. I don't know. Like, will it rain today? Will it rain today? Feel free to call in. The link is in the description down below, or to your right or to your left, depending where you're watching us live from. Tap on the link, and then you can join us and talk about whatever is on your mind. So the weather says 19 degrees Celsius in Tokyo. Cloudy. No rain actually, so there will be no rain. Well, yeah. It's gonna start raining. Well, should start raining at 6 p.m. today. 40% chance, so it might not rain. 40%, and it goes up to 100% at 3 a.m. tomorrow morning. Okay, so that's the weather outside. Terry, how you doing? I'm good. One hour, am I trying to kill you? Nah, man, I'm just trying to make it something that we can do for a while. Like as I said, I guess I've gotten too used to just doing these and just coming on and just talking to you guys. Maybe I need to like spice it up and maybe get some more live interviews going for you guys and all that good stuff. Maybe I need to do that. I could, but I just I guess I'm just so used to just like coming on. And I'm like, okay, I just go on tomorrow morning and just talk to you guys about whatever is on my mind. Terry, perhaps they have what's this? Oh, they're preparing themselves for a big downpour. Yeah, but it won't be raining until the evening time. But I do see people like on a very sunny day. I do see people with umbrellas and they have these face masks, like these like sunshade things that goes down to their lips. They have these masks, covering their faces, sometimes their arms or whatever. So there are some people, and they have these hats that with the rim or whatever you call it, that goes all around. They're trying their level best, as they say, to prevent the sun from darkening their skin. So sometimes some people, they're terrified of the sun. They try to avoid the sun at all costs. It reminds me of people in Jamaica who bleach their skin. I'm not a supporter. I hate that practice, but people do it. And whenever they're bleaching their skins, you're talking about a tropical climate in Jamaica, and people walk around with umbrellas. People wear these gloves, like going all the way up above their elbows. People wear hats and whatever, and all these things covering their legs to prevent the melanin from from resurfacing. Let's just say, which is, I don't know. I'm just, man. I'm like, bro, like, why, bro, why? Come on, let the blackness flourish. Why are you trying to remove the black skin, the melanin? Why? And so there are people who are scared of the sun. For me, as you guys can see, of course, I'm pretty dark skin, right? So in the summertime, Japan gets really hot, right? And then it gets pretty hot, and especially like when I run. So if I'm running with like a shirt, a t-shirt, or whatever I'm running in, by the time I finish my run and I go inside and I take off my shirt, you can see that this side, like from here where the sleeve was, where it ended, is darker than the rest of my body. My face get darker during this time. But hey, come on, man. You got to embrace it. But some people, I don't know, for some reason, I feel some kind of way when I see people like hiding from the sun, because I'm like, most of these people just don't want to get darker. I'm like, okay, is it that bad, to be dark? I'm like, are you guys? I'm like, anyways, I love this black skin. Yeah, come on now. Look at this. Look at this. Come on. Come on. Come on, man. The media has really done the world over, man. It has done black people a great disservice. And some people will say, well, back in the day, in Asia, the darker you are, people would, I guess it would give people the sense that you are working in the fields or something to that effect. Like, well, people who are darker tend to be like manual laborers, like farmers, whatever. You work in the fields, so I guess you're not at the upper echelon of society. Those who are at that level are more inside, of course, and they're not in the sun as often, I guess, so they look lighter. And it's a you look at people, the darker they are, apparently the lower they are in society in terms of status. So maybe that's why they have this affinity toward lighter complexion and skin and stuff like that. But for me, I'm just like, come on, man. Embrace the melanin. If you got it, you got it. Embrace it, man. Don't try to hide it. Don't try to rub it off with some chemicals that's killing you. Don't try to hide from the sun, the life-giving, force that comes from above. Come on now. What y'all doing? Okay, I went off on a tangent. Y'all know how it is. This is how we do it here. This is how we do it on the BEJ Live channel. So let's see what you guys are saying. Don't forget the cooking segment someday. Yeah. We could do it this week, maybe. I guess I got to figure out how I'm gonna set it up. Should be pretty easy. I'll probably get a light, an additional light by the stove, and okay. My goal is, let's see if we can do it I'm gonna see if I might be able to do it before the month is over. So let's see within the next, I don't know, 2 weeks maybe. I'll try to find a time to do it. So we'll do it. We'll prepare it. I'll tell you guys in advance, and then we'll just get it done. Something cool, really simple. It should be fun though. It should be fun. It should be fun. So let's do that. What do you guys want to see us try to cook? Earl said, let's go for a record of 10 hours straight, no sleeping. That's the norm, bro. A record, 10 hours, no sleeping. That's it. That's it. Come on now. That's child's play. Let's see. So Earl said, hell no, stop that thought. um, so Jay said, it is spitting outside and the road is what not dry. Is it raining? Am I like that blind? I'm like, I've been looking outside. I'm like, I don't see. I can hear like the road is wet when the cars are driving by, but I don't even know, y'all. I don't know. Anyways. Okay, I don't know because I'm looking through the window. I don't see anything. Maybe I'm going. Maybe I'm going blind or something. I'm like, I don't see any water in the road. So Earl said, please don't encourage Ranzo to try cooking. And if you do, please call the fire department before he starts cooking. Let's save the house for the wife and kid. I see. Poking fun at me. Cool, no problem. It's okay. Bagman, sometimes it's because they burn different from us, Ranzo. Most times I don't think it's the melanin. My girl is convinced that wearing more clothes makes her cooler in the sun. Okay. Word more. Oh, okay. Listen, man. I try to wear as little clothes as possible when I go out because for some reason I'm like I overheat, right? Like when I'm outside, even in the winter time, from even Canada, people would see me and they think I'm nuts because I'm wearing well, maybe not as little clothes as possible in Canada, but I wouldn't be wearing like a big winter jacket and people are like, are you nuts? I'm like, listen, if I put that winter jacket on, I'll die of heat stroke. Listen, I'm different from you. You know, my wife, on the other hand, she wears like so much, so many, like she's just like Eskimo kind of. If I do that, I'll die. And my daughter's the same way. Like she has to she put too much clothes on. She's like, oh, I'm hot. I got to take it off. I'm like, yeah. And we got that fire in the blood, you know? So yeah, anyways, I don't know why, but it's an advantage for me anyways. But in the summertime when it's really hot, I gotta like wear as little clothes as possible because I'll die. Okay, I'll die outside. um let's see. Bag money, what did you say? I literally have long conversations asking her why she's wearing a jacket in a jacket in Vietnam. What? But she and many others are convinced more clothes will protect them from the sunburn and cool them off. I don't know. Maybe there's, I don't know. It depends on the material. I don't know, but I don't see how that works. What Jay said, it has to be on the weekend cooking. That is okay. Yeah, but we gotta admit, man, when it comes down to dark skin, people talk about anti-blackness is global, and even in, as I said, Jamaica or any other country, even in Africa as a continent, right? Like people bleach in Africa, and you're like, man, why do people bleach? I don't know. Like it really, I find it very insulting. I don't know. Like it annoys me, and it's funny because, like in Jamaica, I have relatives who do it, and when I talk to them about it, they try to, I guess, they try to make a separation between, or a distinction between fashion and and a hatred for oneself. So they would say, man, nah, it's not because I hate being black. It's because it's style, it's fashion, like this is what's going on right now. I'm trying to like put a little thing on and, it's fashionable. I'm just like, how is that even? I'm like, how? What? So if you ask most people in Jamaica about it, they would say it's fashionable and they love being black, but yet still you look like some other type of people. Like I have a cousin, man, and dude was as dark as I am. Now the guy is like Chris Brown. Yeah, Chris Brown, like unrecognizable. You're just like dark as I am, and I'm pretty dark. Chris Brown, okay? Do you, I'm not even joking. Like from head to toe, Chris Brown. Okay, you're going, you're looking at the passport. You're just like, but that's what they say, man. But I don't know. I think it's deeper than that. I don't think it has anything to do with fashion, man. I'm just like, yo, man, come on, bro. Anyways, that's what they say in Jamaica, and I'm pretty sure other people have excuses as well. And you do have people in some of those countries who aren't fan of dark skinned people. And I spoke about this before that, even in Jamaica, like I did have a nickname like when I was like really, really young, because I was dark, right? And it's crazy. And most jokes that people give when they're insulting someone, it has to do with their blackness. So they don't just say something like, as I said before a few weeks ago, they would say, you're black and ugly like, you're black and ugly like, which is like pretty much, they don't say you're ugly. If they're trying to diss someone, right? They say that they have to put the black there. So black is synonymous with being ugly, apparently. And they say, so they say that would be something that people would say, to black people or whatever. Like if they're trying to, like someone that's darker, and I'm just like, yo, you're a black person too. Like you don't get it. Like how can you try to insult your very self? Goes deep, y'all. Goes deep, man. Goes deep. So deep, man. So deep. But you gotta love the melanin, man. It starts with loving yourself, man. And y'all know I love this melanin, y'all. Come on, come on, come on. Okay, moving on. All right. So Endeavorin said, I think you mentioned something about a fusion dish in the past. That might be good. Indeed, it might be good. Oxtail and rice and peas, that's going to take way too long. Let's see. Where am I? Earl said the rain is only in my head. Busy Mike, how you doing? What's up? SD, I came in just in time for the blind joke / hearing the rain on the streets when the cars pass by. That's how I know what the weather is like outside. The sounds. I see. What's up? How you doing, SD? How are you feeling today? I see, Bagman. I see. Earl Owens, how you doing? What, Ranzo, that means that your wife is a true blue Canadian. Really? I don't know, man. Like, yeah, I get, yeah. In the snow and stuff, when I walk out with a t-shirt, they think I'm nuts, but I'm like, y'all don't get it. Y'all don't get it. I ain't gonna put on a jacket just to please y'all. If I'm hot as hell, I ain't wearing a jacket. I'm sorry. As for skin complexion, I know this is not a good scenario, but it's like wild horses, thoroughbred horses. There's white, brown, and black. They're all beautiful, but the black ones look most beautiful. Yeah, the black horses, yeah, those shiny black horses, they look majestic, man. I would want a horse. I don't know, it might be too much work. I'm not in like maintaining a horse. I've ridden a horse once in my life, I think. Was it once? Yeah, I think once. In Canada, like they have this close to where I live, they have this horse farm. And we were making up, like we were planning to go there, but we never end up going horseback riding. It's pretty cool though. Jan, the umbrella in the summer heat helps, no lie, because with all the walking we do, that umbrella is a constant shade. So I don't hate on umbrellas. It makes a world of a difference. Yeah. Okay. Busy Mike said Vibes Cartel said something like that about his bleaching. The thing with Vibes Cartel is very controversial, and he understands what's necessary to remain relevant, right? He's been behind bars now for what? Almost a decade. I don't know, like a decade or something like that. Like a few years, almost maybe 10 years. It's crazy. Time flies. and he's still relevant. One of the most relevant artists in dancehall. Um, and he just knows to play the game, right? So I'm not sure if he uses, bleaching as, if he's using that in that sense, or he just never liked the way he looked and he wanted to remove the blackness, because apparently being darker makes you uglier. No such thing, man. But trust me, if we examine our minds, yeah, and think about the way the way we really feel about dark skinned people, like not trying to put up a facade, not trying to pretend for people who are listening to you, but really examine your heart and go deep and say, how do you feel truly about a dark skinned person versus someone else of another complexion? Think about your feelings and examine those feelings for a second. And you might discover something. And then, depending on the way that you feel, you might need to examine that and try to find the source of that feeling. And if you have some type of, I guess aversion might be a really strong word, but if you have, feel some type of ways when it comes on to dark skinned people, then you need to like find, remove that, work on that, man, because that's deep, man. Especially when you yourself are dark. I don't get it though. I don't get it, yo. But hey, what can you do, man? It's a thing, man. It's a thing. I had an experience at one point. Well, this is live or whatever, but I can't. I probably can't talk about it because people might see this video. So I can't. Yeah, but I've spoken to people before who, um, I don't. I'm trying to figure out like how could I say it without people like even the person identifying, where you find people who aren't a fan of black skin, right? Who are also black, and you're scratching your head trying to figure out how does this work? I don't get it. How? And then the thing, it's crazy, man. And we started talking about this because people are walking by with umbrellas, and now we're talking about complexion and colorism, which is a big problem. But that's just I guess, a manifestation of just the work, that has been done on our minds as a people overall, and even other people as well. But you know what? And that's one of the reasons why I guess as black people, we're so proud of who we are, because we have to have like this counter force, right? Because if so much negativity is being heaped upon us, this coming toward us, we in order for us to like stave that off, we have to push, with equal force or even greater force than what's been exerted towards us, what people are using to push at us to say, oh, black is this, black is that, black is all these things. So we have to hold on to who we are and embrace it and be proud, of who you are. And that's why I champion that. And, like I'm pro black till I die. So, but anyways, it's just the way it is, man. And I know that this is an issue, and I know that you guys know too. You guys who are watching, who are listening, it's an issue. Anyways, let's see. What's this? Suit? Is that your name? Okay. Like Sammy Soka went from normal to gray with colored eye implants. Oh wow. I'm a dark skinned male. I wish I was darker, with even richer blemish, free solid skin tone. It took me a long time to get to this mindset. Society is very anti-black skin. I know what you mean. So I guess the complexion that you're aspiring, that you wanted, was like maybe like Akon, or there's a friend I have in Jamaica that, yeah, like like when people have that really like dark skin and it's like unblemished and it's just like smooth, and I think that's beautiful, man. Like there's nothing, you're like snap, like that is like next level, right? But the thing is, whoever you are, this is what I'm saying. You have to be able to appreciate yourself. So whether you're a light skin, dark skin, whatever skin you are, you have to be able to appreciate yourself. And the thing is, people, there's this tendency, because of course of what, because of what we're fed, And especially being in Asia and stuff, sometimes, right? You hardly see a black face anywhere. I see some ads from time to time, on the trains or in various places in Tokyo where you do see black people. They had this one ad with a black guy playing. I think it was was it Taito? Is it Taito or Taiko? Like drumming. And there was a black guy at the front in this ad, and it's everywhere. So sometimes you do see black people in some of the adverts in Japan. But of course, we're in a homogeneous society, so I'm not expecting to see black faces. So don't get me wrong, please. But I'm saying for even younger people coming up, they don't see themselves being represented if they are not. They don't look like the majority, and they might question their identity. They might question whether or not they're beautiful if all the representation of beauty that they see is not them. So there's so many things that happen that goes into your mind, all right, and then you start questioning who you are, and you might your appreciation for yourself diminishes, and it's like my thing is you should be able to appreciate who you are, love yourself, which is important because if you don't, other people might find it harder to love you as well or to appreciate you. That's not always the case because some people can see certain things that you can't see, and they have to make you aware of it as well. So that's a thing as well. So it's not because you feel a certain way about yourself means that other people won't feel a certain way about you. But the goal is to appreciate who you are. And when I see people bleaching and they say, well, it's because of fashion, I'm like, bro, like really? It's not even like you're putting something on like contact lens or whatever, or you're doing something. You're literally like removing, like you're damaging your skin. Like I'm just like, you're using a chemical. I don't know, man. I'm like fashion to me is, you put a blazer on, or you find a nice shoes or pants or whatever you wear, you get a watch, blah blah blah, whatever it is, and you just, you do your thing. But if you're gonna like, change your skin color, man, and you got to constantly do that, and you got to run away from the sun. You got to hide like a vampire. It's like a vampire, pretty much. It's like you're turning yourself into a vampire now. Like I'm not sorry, man. I'm not a fan of it. If you bleach, I don't know, this side of the video. Um, but you're just that's what you're doing. You only oh god, oh god. Why am I going? Okay, I'm not going to go too deep in this. You only come out at night. You see these people in nighttime. In the daytime, like you don't see them. If you see them, you can't recognize them. They got like all these things on, umbrella, gloves, mask, like everything, socks up to their knees, everything. In the nighttime, they come out. Some of them don't even come out in the daytime. You see them in the nighttime, they come out. Snap, Dracula. Okay, Dracula. I'm sorry. Why am I even joking about this right now? Oh, it's hilarious to me. My parents' generation would use the expression "so black, he's blue." Yeah, yeah, definitely, man. Inspired by the Justin and Richie interviews. NY Finest, awesome, man. That's the goal. Dory said, people say they bleach because a preference for hiring, but also a self-hatred. Admit it or not, bleach burns. Listen, I don't know. As I'm saying, some people do certain things to remove blemishes, right? Um, Usually when I'm shopping in Asia, like for instance, when I'm in other countries, even not even just Japan, I make sure I try to read the labels. And if I can't read the language, then I try to like translate it to make sure that they don't have any, anti-black properties. That's what I'm calling it, right? In the products and things like that. Um, but I can't see. So someone who might be light skinned already might just use it to like remove, I guess, some dark spots or something. But as I said, I've seen people who are as dark as I am, or even darker, who are bleaching, and not like they literally, as I said, they go from me to, man, I said Chris Brown or some of the light skin, like really light skin, like really really light. I'm like, man, wow. Okay, I see. Um, Cross harmonics. Even everyone finally here had to finish a bit of work. No problem, man. Work comes first. You know. SD, I'm laying down listening, so not really participating in the chat much. Hope everyone's doing well, doing good. Bag money. I understand why people bleach, just like I understand why some black people pretend racism doesn't exist from non-blacks. They have to do it. It's not a choice for them. It's their only way to cope. I could never though. I don't know, man. There was a documentary that was done in Jamaica about it, and I don't think I watched it all the way through. Did I? I don't even know, but most of the people are just given just really shallow answers that you're just like, really? Maybe for them, maybe some people actually see it as that. I can't say it. I can't say they don't. Some people might just say, okay, it's bleaching. I'm just bleaching because it's fashionable. Because people do all sorts of things for fashion, right? But sometimes I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know, but I can't say because I'm not in their minds. But because people do all sorts of things for fashion, different surgeries, etc. So people can just do something for that. But I feel like, hey, I don't know. Anyways, let me not go down that road. But there must be something deeper for you to go to that extent, that extreme, you know. But yep. Someone said it's a good book called Don't Play in the Sun by Merita Golden. That sounds like an interesting title. I would want to see what that book is about. NY Finance said colorism also happens in Spanish countries too. It's weird. I've heard about that. I've heard about this rift. Maybe Earl can speak on it. This rift between Haiti and the Dominican Republic. They share a border, but yet still it seems like the people from Haiti who are darker, they're hated. Well, I can't not. I guess maybe not everyone. You might have some of them that are fine, but the general apparently attitude is that those who are lighter despises their darker neighbors, and it seems to be a strange thing. And I've seen videos too where people like darker people are treated like, I don't know, sometimes animals, from what I've seen in the videos. I'm not saying, I've never been, so I don't know. So I know that Earl is Dominican, so maybe he can speak on that. But I've seen videos where people were beat up and stuff, man, crazy. So I'm not sure if that's the case like all the time, or that was just an extreme circumstance. But things happen, man. It's crazy, man. It's and we're talking about this whole media thing and the representation of black people, and it goes so deep. When we talk about emancipating our minds, the truth of the matter is it goes so deep. And someone left a comment at one point where they were saying, when will people start talking about what happens within the black community itself, right? More so than only focusing on external issues. What about internal issues and things that happened within the community? Rift between black people, lack of support, etc. All these different things that we understand, we know about. Someone was asking in a comment about, like when would the focus be more internal? There's just so much, the media, there's so much. But you know what, there's one thing as well, because media or anything that people consume regularly or in large quantities, if you can make that thing of a certain type or maybe ilk or whatever, I think that can help change the fabric of someone's mind. Because, like, for instance, like when for example, when you have like a sporting event, like maybe the cricket World Cup, or just soccer World Cup, or whatever, some type of major event, and everyone, like, you have what you call like these bandwagon, like people, what's the word, like bandwagonist. I'm not sure if that's like a Jamaican thing, or if it's an official term, but it's like in Jamaica we say like someone's a bandwagonist, like you're not a fan of the sport, but because it's the main thing that's going on, it's a trend right now. Okay, like, hey, World Cup, whatever. Everyone is like supporting teams, and everyone is a soccer expert all of a sudden because it's like the thing that's going on is a trend. I'm saying like if we can, if there's a way to like make certain things popular in terms of like, well, I guess generally people think black people are cool, so I guess that's a thing that's world over for the most part. But when it comes onto the skin complexion, if there's a drive toward people, coming in contact with more like black people, um, they're confronted daily as much as possible with the beauty of being a black person, right? And again, let me just say this for anyone that's watching that's not black and they're saying whatever the case is. The focus of this conversation is about black people, so it's not, we're not talking about, I'm not like knocking anyone else, but the focus is, if we're talking about an issue, we're talking about that. So I'm saying, so this is what we're talking about, right? So if there was a way where the focus was on, the beauty and promoting that, and people see it and they might say, but then again, it might not even be lasting if it's like a trend, or if people are like, oh, this is cool, all right, you know what, hey, you know what, I'm beautiful, I'm this, I'm that, nothing is wrong with me being this dark, nothing is wrong with me being a black person, right? And then you start appreciating yourself. I see different things with like natural hair and stuff like that going around. If it's something that's there and you see it being, highlighted and reinforced and acknowledged and appreciated, then I feel, especially for young people with malleable minds, I feel like it would get to them, and then maybe their perception might change, and it might help them, help their self-esteem and self-confidence and appreciation of self. It might help with that, maybe. I don't know. Well, you know what? It would help, but I guess it really depends on how it's done, as to whether or not the impact would be lasting or not, right? We talk about, even for instance, my daughter in a Japanese school and the questions that she asks, and even the interview with Tiffany and other people as well, the questions that they ask based on what they see and what they encounter. But we know for a fact that anti-black racism is rampant, and anti-blackness is rampant, and it's not only without, it's within. um, and I guess we have to start there, acknowledging that it's not just, you know outside of ourselves, but we too, have been affected by this, and then we need to change the mindset within. And then maybe we would be more empowered to affect without. Right. So it's a thing, man. There's a lot, and sometimes, when I think about all that needs to be done, and we could turn a blind eye, and I think it's easier for people to turn a blind eye. When we talk about things that ails the black community, usually seems like a mammoth of a task. It seems like it's something that's insurmountable. It seems like there's no way to remedy what's going on. Um, and so people usually at the end of a discussion throw their hands up, and they're like, you know what, I give up. That's it. There's nothing that we can do about it, because it just seems like, it's so overwhelming, right? Because we look in one area, there's a problem. We look at another area, there's a problem. We look at this area, there's a problem. And the thing that makes this worse is that we're living in a time now where it's easy to ignore these things and carry on with your life. It's not an impediment to living a fairly decent life, right? Even though we still have these struggles, you have black people who struggle more than others. And in different countries, your black experience will be different. It might be worse in this area, and it might be a little bit better in this area. And so people can still get by. And sometimes, just like anything else, right? People have this tendency, all of us, this tendency to do that which is easy. So if you're comfortable doing something, or you can get by with being mediocre, like if you're in school, for instance, and you just want to get this amount to pass, or you want to do this amount, or in your work, you do just enough to keep your job, and things like that. In a relationship, you do just enough to please the person, just enough so that you can maintain the relationship. It's like we have a tendency to do that. So because as black people now we're living in a time where we're not in shackles, right, physically, we still face a lot of things. But because we can still get by, because we still have some black people who are uber rich or uber successful and all these things, it's easier to just, carry on and just turn the blind eye and say, well, whatever, man, I can still make my money here. I can still go there. I can still do this. So most of us, we just decide not to focus on the issues because you can still move forward. Even though there are still restrictions, you're like, well, I can still get by. It's not the greatest, but it's not as bad as it used to be. So at least we can chill and just. And I think that's one of the reasons why it's easy for us to, I guess, acquiesce. It's easy for us to, throw our hands up because it's so overwhelming. There's so many things that's wrong that we're just like, man, I don't know, man. Listen, man. Right now, it's better if I just focus on myself and my family. Just do my thing because if I'm gonna try to do all these things, it's just way too much. How can you solve it? How can we move from where we are to where we need to be? There's just so much that needs to be done, just so much. So I think that's why it's easy. Like you're saying, well, someone might say, well, I'm educated, well, I'm making some money. It's not much, but I'm surviving. I can, I'm not, I don't want for food or whatever the case is. So it's fine. Hey, yeah, I get this, I get pulled over, I get these things happen to me, but we're Black people, we're strong, we can deal with it. So I think we might, I'm appreciative, of course, of where we've come, of the sacrifices that our ancestors made for this type of living to be possible. But there's still so much that needs to be done. And as humans, if we are talking about just humanity overall, there are problems that as people we face, right? Human problems, every human faces it. But there's another level that's stacked on that as Black people. So there's an additional burden. So the goal should be, to remove that burden that's specific to Black people. And then, yeah, we can all share the normal burdens of life. Life is hard. Life is a struggle. That's just the way life is. So we remove the extra weight on our backs, and then we can just do whatever needs to be done as a human. But I think we're comfortable, and it seems like the workload is just too much. It just seems like way too much work needs to be done, and sometimes we probably don't even know what would be effective and what wouldn't be effective, and maybe there are sacrifices that needs to be made that people are just unwilling to make those sacrifices. So it's just so much. But anyways, let's see. SD said all of the downtime leads to major boredom. Okay, I see. Bagman Ranzo, you find fat men and women who would never date a fat person who don't like how fat people look. Oh, they're fat themselves. I see. So, societal norms and majority media really does a number on us, indeed. Earl, what do you think of the 1 ounce of black blood rule when it comes to mixed children? Oh, that's a very common. I think that's a deep. Okay, I think that more so. What I think personally, I would want to get the feedback from someone who's mixed to see how they feel about that, right? I think if a person is mixed, like they have two cultures, right? Two cultures, and they're a mix of both, right? So yeah, definitely. I would have to talk to them to really see how they feel about that, because I think they would have the most insight in regards to that, and based on the way they express themselves and the way they feel about it, then I'll try to formulate my own opinion from based on that data, because I think it's important to find out how they feel about that. That's what I would say. Aloysius, the blacker the berry, the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice. Well, that's true when it comes out to the fruits too. Like, hey, like, trust me. Anyways, moving on. Terry, I'm talking about actual fruits. Okay, I'm talking about fruits. When you see a berry, even grapes as well. The darker the grapes, right? Like usually the sweeter the grape is. Um, I'm not talking about this thing metaphorically. I'm talking about the actual fruit, literal grape and berries. Um, Terry, sorry guys, I have to leave. Take care, Terry. Take care. Um, Across Harmonic says Taiko. Yeah. You know what? I always mix that up because I think about Taito, like Taito Station, which is the game and arcade spots in like in across Japan. Yeah, so you have Taito and Taiko. Um, I appreciate it, Terry. No problem. Doris said, when I was in university, my friends, in quotes, mocked me because I was dating a man from, what's this? Botswana. Go figure. These so called black power talking heads. I see. Yeah, conversations like that and jokes like that, I'm not a fan. And I don't think if someone has a problem with that, you shouldn't, I don't think we should just entertain, those type of talk or jokes when people joke about, oh, like only on the basis of someone being black, as if being black within itself is inherently negative. Oh snap, too black. Anyways, Jamaica Funk. I've had some friends in Japan who've done ad work there because they were black. No, definitely. Yeah, like if you're thinking about like typecasting and different things like that, you got to fit the role. If they're looking for a black person, then they would get a black person for it. So yeah, that's something that happens. Ingrid said that's why we need to go home to Africa. Africa as well. Remember, we spoke about. I'm not sure how strong colorism is in Africa. Like I have no insight on that, but I do know that people bleach in Africa, and apparently it's a thing in Africa as well, on the continent. So I'm not sure if Africa is free of colorism. I'm not sure, but I can't say. I would have to talk to someone who lives there to really find out what it is, and even beyond that, what the explanation is for them bleaching. For those who bleach, like why do they do it? In the Philippines, they had a Michael Jordan ad on a poster, and they lightened his skin on the poster. Wow, wow. Okay. Oh, I'm so far behind in the comments. Also, SD said, my aunt tried to trick me into bleaching as a child. Said it was special lotion. It smelled. I refused to use it. She confessed that she wanted a better life for me. I was too dark in her eyes. Oh, man. But we know this is an issue. I'm pretty sure no one that's watching this thing can deny that this is a problem. Um, I interviewed someone and they said they were in, was it Thailand? Thailand or the Philippines, one of those two countries. And the person said that someone was like, "Oh, you're so beautiful. You would be even more beautiful if you were lighter." That's, to me, that's not a compliment. That's an insult to me. So you're saying the only difference is the someone's complexion. So if you were lighter, then you automatically become more beautiful. Okay. I see, Earl. I see. Hey, what's up, Mia Linda? How you doing? Dory said, I saw that, Ranzel, based on a documentary where people from Jamaica were interviewed. Please watch it all the way through. That extreme is called self-abuse, self-hatred. I've seen it. I've seen it up close and personal, man. And I don't, people, they make their own decisions, right? And I said, some people, they give explanations for it. But some people do it so much that you can see their veins, protrude, and you see the colors of their veins, the green ones and different colors. But hey, I don't know, man. Wow. Yeah. May Linda says she has cousins who won't go to the beach. What do you guys think? Do you guys think this is a problem that will go away? Do you guys think um colorism will always be a problem? What do you guys think? So SD is legally blind. So SD said, I don't know what my skin color is. For a long time, I thought I was extremely dark skinned until I was chewed out by some girls online. And then I explained to them that I'm legally blind. Oh, Earl. Okay, sorry. My son corrected, man. For when I was saying you were Dominican, first, like my mind, I was like in my mind, I'm like, okay, you never said Dominican Republic. So yeah, that was okay. Cool. Okay, so you're actually not from Dominican Republic. You are from the Commonwealth of Dominica. I stand corrected. Edgerton. How you doing? Idiom. Jumping on the bandwagon. Okay, let's see. Melinda. I look like an Indian person, so imagine what I look like. Okay, okay. Mr. Lynn, what's up? Doris said, our brainwashing runs deep from the womb to the grave. I gave up trying to convince other people when I realized I needed to rectify my own brain. Understood. That's what I'm saying. That's why I was saying that when we see a black person, or when like a black person, whether it's, you see a person's skin, or just a black person, whether a dark skinned person or a light skinned person, to examine our thoughts, like what comes into your mind, right? That's one of the first places to try to remedy what's going on, to find the root, right? So you're saying, how do you respond? So Mr. Lin said, he remembers dating some woman and they asked me to stay out of the sun. I was like, this isn't the woman or the woman for me. Yeah. So Earl said, when I was growing up, the class war in my country was primarily based on color and economic class issues. Bagman said, I've lived in Latin America for a few years, and black skin is a bigger problem there than in North America, in my opinion. Really, it's almost normalized there. The concept of sobre la raza is focused on skin. What's the translation for that? Doris, it seems insurmountable if one expects change of others, not of themselves. It starts within, indeed. That's very true. And maybe if when you address your own issues, you can see clearer, right? Your judgment is not clouded. So Gideon said, good morning from London, England. I flew here from the States the end of February 2020 to live in Europe. I was tired of the racism in the States. I was born and raised in Detroit, Michigan. Bagmani, Honduras. Man, It's funny. This whole conversation started with some people walking by holding umbrellas. So Earl said, but at this moment, we as Black people need to focus all of our energy on trying to realize the opportunity that is currently in front of us. Let's leave the color situation for another day. Okay, so Busy Mike pulled out a stat. I'm not sure if this is accurate, but he says 70% of Nigerian women bleach. So yeah, it's a thing in Africa. 70%? Is that accurate? Wow. I'm not sure if it is, but if that's the numbers, crazy man. But you know what, man? Growing up, as a child, like everything that we learn, is from someone else. As a child, you learned how to walk and talk by imitating what you see around you. So this constant inculcation, I guess, of what you see in the media, you internalize things, you see things around you, and maybe it may potentially not even be in your conscious mind, but in your subconscious, and then you feel impelled to rid yourself as many black as you can. So whether it's your melanin, whether it's black friends, black people, it might go deep where you try to like separate yourself. You're like, man, I don't want to be around black people, but you're black yourself. So you can't extricate yourself from it. Why? Because you're black. So wherever you go, you are who you are. So it's like you're running away from your shadow pretty much. So you're running away from your shadow, but it's still there. There's no way. I'm sorry. You can't. It's there. Everywhere you go, it's there. That's your blackness. It's who you are. But because of like as I said, all that we've consumed, all that we've experienced, all that we've seen, some people, I guess, reach a point where they're just like, man, whatever, man, rub. They try as much as they can to try to remove that part away from themselves. Hmm. But can you imagine if you hate yourself, man? That's a very weak position. That's a very, very weak position to fight from. Very, very weak. It's like, I spoke about, just self confidence. And without self confidence, you're twice defeated in the race of life. And some of us know how a person who's confident, like that type of energy, is infectious. A person who is sure of themselves, right? Someone who's assertive. There's so many, like, we admire these qualities. So there's benefit. And then we can see a person who second guesses themselves and they're not sure, they don't really like themselves, they don't respect themselves. And usually when someone don't have any respect for themselves, we know this, like it's hard for you to, give them respect. So if we don't love who we are and appreciate the skin that we're in, the way that God made us, we have a problem with that. Then how can someone else appreciate that? It's possible, but it dramatically reduces the likelihood of that happening, even though it's possible, and it does happen. Man, this thing is deep, and we're in 2020 still. We're in 2020, and we still have these problems. In 2020. Yeah. So that's Busy Mike. Wow, that's that, man. Um, So Ingrid said it depends on which part of Africa you're in. Yep, we all came from Africa, by way of our ancestors, right? And it's funny, as Black people, that's another thing too, man. There's just so many things, but you know what? We people have, found a way to work around these things, because you can't even find your lineage really. Like even well, some people do, some people can. In Jamaica, for instance, like I believe it or not, like I don't even know beyond my grandfather, which is nuts, right? It's even though well, on my grandmother's side, I never met her, but some of my family members met our great grandmother, right? But I literally don't know beyond my grandfather. Isn't that crazy? That's nuts. That's nuts, man. That's nuts. And my grandfather is no longer here, so it's not even like I can ask him any questions, right? It's like you got to like do your own research just to try to find out your lineage and all these things. You know what? I think I might conduct I might do a search actually. I might do that. But just to show you, there's just so many things that comes with this Black experience. So many things. So it's definitely not a surface level thing. It's not something that you can just throw a band-aid on and expect that would solve the problem. We can't just deal with the symptoms, man. We got to go deep. And people have been going deep for years, but there's still work to be done. Yeah. And maybe one area, I'm just saying, I'm not saying this is the case, but maybe just one area of the problem, has been receiving all the attention. It's almost like if you got a entire body that's ill, or maybe let's just say a leg, and you're just like attending to two toes, there's still so much that needs to be done. So I'm just saying maybe that might be the reason why we still have so many problems. Maybe we need to like take a more holistic approach. I'm not sure. I'm not really sure. I'm not sure. Like there's many things that's going on. But we've progressed, of course, but there's still a lot more work that needs to be done, especially things like this when it comes down to it's our minds. Okay. Oh wait, yeah. So this one, oh, that's what I could do. I could put the thing on the. Yeah, I could do that to read it. I'm trying to. Well, oh, I can't type this now, so I'm trying to. Let's see if I can just take a picture of the email. Trying okay. Okay. Sorry. Sorry, this thing is so loud, man. I need to fix this thing. I don't know. I need another like mic holder. Um, so Bagman, he said, I think colorism won't go away for centuries. It has become too ingrained now because of racism. So I think I'll put the comments on the screen while I'm reading. So at least because it's so far, like it's so tiny that sometimes I'm just like, okay, let's see. So Mr. Lin said, I will never bleach my skin. I have problems, but I still think my skin is beautiful. You just might have to change your inner circle if the people around you are saying bad stuff. Indeed. So Gideon said, I am light skinned. My mother is dark chocolate. My dad, very light chocolate. And my my dad loved his black queens. People always think I'm mixed. We all are. However, both my parents are black. Okay, let's see. Let me just try to get through these comments because I'm gonna have to go now. I did tell you guys that you can call in, but no one called in. Oh, there's so many. Am I all this? Am I so far behind? So Doris said, Ranzo, rectify my own brain was meant to say we have to rewire how we think. Wait, let's see. How we think of our own individual selves. It's an inside job that needs to be done, not judgment of other people's worth. Understood. Black people, oh, black is concentrated and strong. Thus, why everyone is scared of black people working together and unifying. I definitely think people are terrified of that idea. And I think more so because of what has been done to black people might feel like if black people ever, get into a certain position, there will be retaliation. I think that's the greatest fear, or the greater fear, more than just our potential as a people. I think people might be like, that's one, of course, I think, but it might be, hey, we've done this to these people. Imagine if they do get into this position, what will become of us? I think that's one of the major concerns. Sharp said, we hate ourselves, we need to unite. Oh yeah, that's an insult as well. When people say, to tell someone that they would be more beautiful if they were lighter is definitely an insult. But the number one insult to me is to tell someone you're beautiful to be as black as you are. It's yeah. I'm not ignoring you. I put your, yeah. Well, at least you saw that I put your comment on the thing. Sobre la raza is like improve the race loosely. It's kind of like the idea of having children with someone with a wide skin to lighten their family's skin tone going forward. Okay, I'm just trying to get through these comments really quick now. Okay. So to Sharp is asking a question right now that Sharp Sharp is saying, is it okay to lose 1 million black people to save the race? I can't promote. I understand the mindset behind that, but I can't promote such an approach. I can't. But I guess more so it's more. I guess it's more so work with people who are of a similar mind, or who recognize the problem externally and internally, but still they have a consensus. They come to an agreement to say, look, this is what we're going to work on. This is an issue. We want to find a remedy for it. Let's try to work together and see what we can do, in that regard. And I believe some people are doing the work. Jerome, how you doing? I believe that. uh, what's this? Dio said, Ranzo, you know, we're unstoppable once we work together. I think so too. If we can definitely get to that place, and there's always something in the way, but yeah, I believe it's possible. Ta Wagwan, how you doing? Am I quarantined in Japan or is everything open? You can still go places like, like even for instance, today I'm going out again. I've been out. There's things, yeah, a lot of places are open, but look, when was it? Sunday. When was Sunday? Yesterday, actually. Man, the road was crazy to see how Tokyo was or is, because you would like, just if you're used to Tokyo, you're used to like people being everywhere, and to the areas that I was in, man, like it was almost not really, almost like a ghost town. It was just quite something to see. Places that's usually packed with people. You're looking around like, man, it's just a different sight. It's like a whole a whole new world, man. In Tokyo, to see certain streets as empty as they are, so many stores being closed. I'm trying to get updated with it. Oh, you know what? Okay, so Earl said, Rand, have you ever considered investigating if your family tree contains Arawaks and or Caribs? Um, oh, well, no, I haven't done that. But I know on my mom's side, well, my grandmother, like she's like from the maroon lineage there. But I haven't yet. You know what? I need to ask you some of these questions because I'm like, sometimes you just kind of just give up because you're just like, oh well, you don't know. The desire has always been there, but I think, yeah, yeah, we're gonna do that. We're gonna do that. And there was one thing. Okay, let's just touch on this really briefly before I go, which I think is a major thing, and it may have been even Malcolm X's motivation. I thought about this, a while back, and I was thinking about, like your surname, you have your surname, and because you can't. But the thing is, when it comes to surnames, you don't know exactly the circumstances around, especially if you're black. Usually, some people know, but not everyone know. I think more people don't know, especially in the African diaspora. Those of us who our foreparents actually were, sent across the ocean on these god awful ships. Um, like you don't know if your surname came from, it was legitimate, it came from, like just like your great 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 grandfather, whatever. Like if the relations was consensual, or if your ancestor, because I was thinking about this the other day. I'm not the other day, like a while back, maybe last year, and even before that, that some people were freed, and they could choose a last name, a surname, so they could, once they were free, they could say, okay, well, I'm no longer whatever, let me just make a name. And they may have coined a last name, a surname, or maybe some of them decided to keep the name from their slave master, and they kept, passing it down. Or some people may have been the victim of rape. It's horrible, man. Like I don't like even talking about those times, man. It's the but the victim of that, so the child, bears the name of the rapist, and then that name is carried on even post-slavery. And so because you don't really know whether your name is, okay, well, your predecessor had, like they made it up, or the person and whoever, the couple or partners or whatever, um had consensual, like, um sex and thing like that. um So you don't know. So because sometimes I'm thinking, I'm like, it's just a weird thing to be to bear the same name, the surname of a slave master, and because you don't really know if your foreparents still had like that just kept the same slave name or they made it up once they were freed, or if your great whoever person was not black but was in a legitimate relationship with a black woman, or a black woman. um so you don't know, because sometimes I think about that because I'm like, I don't want to be like, I don't want to wear the surname of a slave master. Like, I don't know, like the thought, it just came in my mind. I was thinking about this, actually I was really thinking about it. I'm like, I'm going to change my name. I'm going to make something up, because I'm like, I don't know, because I'm like, if I still have the name of someone who owned my predecessor as property, isn't it, am I not connected to that in some way, shape, or form? That the name was ascribed to someone at the time who was property. I was stripped of my actual name, my predecessor, and given a brand like a cow. You just branded the cow with this. Psh, this is AB beef or whatever, and then that just started this whole thing, and you just kept, um, you just have the name, and now you're just, you know, Thomas or whatever, and that came from wherever, I don't know. And then the next thing, to one thing I noticed, even in Jamaica, and I'm pretty sure it's the same thing with other countries. Certain things, certain practices came from slavery that people still hold true today. In Jamaica, they have insults that originated during that period, and people still use those same insults in present day Jamaica. And it's the same thing in other countries, the same principle. Like, there has not been a great departure from that. People still use the insults, and when I go back and see where those insults originated, I'm like, man, we shouldn't be saying these. No. um and the name thing, I don't know, I've thought about some of these things. Even some of the food, it goes really, really deep, man. And sometimes when you're trying to unpack these things, it's just like, it's so onerous, I guess. But the last name thing for sure, I'm just like, man, bearing the name still of a slave master, the worst period in human history, I believe. I don't know. So I can see why Malcolm X did that. And I thought about it. And the thing that stopped me from really going forward with like changing, my surname, is because I'm like, I don't know the circumstances around how the name was received. You understand? And maybe when I do the investigation, maybe I'll get some data, and then I can maybe make a decision at that point if I want to change it to something else. Um, but I don't want to be wearing some slave master's name. I don't know. I don't care about how other people feel about that. This is just my personal thing, and something that crossed my mind. Yeah. But anyways, like what's well, I don't really care about anyone's opinion on the matter in terms of with my thing, but what do you guys feel about that in your own personal circumstance or situation? I'm just trying to go. Oh no, yeah, I'll definitely, I'll look into it. Um, oh yeah, no, like yeah, I don't know anything about my family, yo. Like, it's not even a joke. I'm trying to read the comments to get through them faster. No, no, Dia. No, when you're saying they weren't in legitimate relationships, I'm not saying that. Okay, like back then, right? Of course, someone might have genuinely fallen in love with, like maybe like one of the slaves or whatever. Like it's possible, right? And of course, that relationship would not be approved by the slave masters and the other people or whatever. But I'm saying it could be one of those type of love stories, right? Where so I'm like, I don't know if that was a circumstance, right? That that happened or whatever. So that's what I meant. That's what I meant by that. Where am I? Yeah. Yeah, I don't want listen, I don't know. It's I don't know. Okay. So Jamaica Funk said years. Okay, let's see. Years I remember meeting a girl named Sambo. She told me that the original meaning of that name was king. I don't know if that was true or not, but you see how the origin of names have been distorted. Yeah, that's the thing, right? So I'm saying, so the thing is, one, like, it probably would be hard for some of us to know. So it's I guess a personal decision or whatever in that regard. But for me, I don't know. Like that's so deep. Sometimes I'm just like, yo, I don't know, man. I'm like, yo, I would tell my father, I'm like, look, nothing against you, dad. I love you and all that good stuff, but this name wasn't our name, yo. So I want a different one. You're still my dad, but like if I find out that this name was given under whatever circumstance, I'm changing it. I don't want it. I see. Yes, I see. So Earl said, I personally know a number of folks from my study group who did change their name to detach their connection to that negative past. However, even if you try to hide in plain sight, we can still see you. The goal is not to hide. The goal is not to hide. And as I said before, then again, I don't even care what people think anyway, so that doesn't matter to me. But the goal is not to hide. The goal is for yourself as an individual, like what you think about it. And for me, I started to question it. But as I said before, I lack enough data, and that's the only thing that kind of stopped me because I'm like, what if they had a love story? I don't know what it is. I'm like, maybe, but I don't. I think it's weird though. When I think, I'm like, it's weird, man. Like I'm just like, man, just think about the same. So it's almost like we carry this thing forward. And maybe it's trivial. Maybe I'm trying to it's trivial, and maybe I'm just trying to make a big deal out of nothing. But I just feel like you still have the same brand. You're still not yourself fully. You understand? You are yourself, but like you're still carrying around this badge that was given to you. So it's like one of these. I don't know. I don't know. I know the vast majority of people have the same name. I know most people might be like being rubbed the wrong way with this conversation or whatever. but as I said, it's just something that is in my own mind. I'm like, you were given this thing under the most horrible, horrid of circumstances, right? And that's why I can't even allow my mind to even venture to imagine what transpired back then. Just the extent, just the extent of brutalization. It's man, and then you were given a name and just kept that name. You just kept it, passed it on to your kids, just passed it on that same badge, man, from the dark era. Pass it on, and just you're still wearing that around. You write it, and you have your kids and you give them the same name. And even though you don't think about it like that, because I haven't, I never used to think about it like that. You're like, oh, your name, you're proud of your name, your family, your heritage, whatever. And then so you're doing it until you allow yourself to start thinking about it, and you're just like, okay. But you know what? Who was it? There's so many people who change their names. Yeah, even some pretty popular people that we know them by a certain name, and their foreparents change it because whether it sound kind of weird or whatever reason, they're like, you know what? Okay, I'm gonna change this to this because I don't like the way they spelled this or the way this thing sounds. Or because remember the way that people got surnames back in the day too. Some people, right, is from maybe where you live, the land you named your family off something. So there was something that you wanted your family to represent, and then you choose that. So I think everyone should have that right. And if you want to maybe even start something else, something new for yourself, so you're moving forward, and you want to your family, your posterity to represent something else, right? So if your lineage was a certain way, and you're like, you know what, here this stops here, and this is the standard that I'm gonna set here, and hopefully this thing passes on and it carries on as long as it can. And if someone else feel like they want to change it, the only problem with that is if you can't connect the dots to find out where you actually come from because of the name changes, then that might make that process a little bit more challenging. But that's just my mindset with that part. Let's see. So Backpack Vegan said yes, she changed her name. SD, who was the name? Someone give a name of someone that was a blind person who traveled the world. I can't remember the name. They said there was a documentary done about it, so I can't remember who said it. Maybe I think it was Bag Money or someone. Maybe they can tell you the name, and then you can look it up and see how he did it. Yeah, Jamaica Funky. I know. But you know what? As I said before, look, most things it's a personal decision, right? So this is one thing that I wouldn't, for this thing that I'm talking about. This is one thing I would just do myself. It's not if I decide based on the what I find out, but it's not something that I would tell other people to do. That's definitely a personal thing for people. If they don't see the necessity for that, if they don't want to do it, that's fine. But it's just something that started to bug me at one point, and I'm just like, man, when you started really going deep in these things, you're just like, I don't have to change it, but you're just like, but it's still, it came from the way I got it, the way my forefathers got it. Why am I still carrying this thing into the future? You know? But that's and people are so proud of their surname too, right? It's a thing, right? Oh, I'm a Jones. You understand? It's one of those things. You're proud of your last name or whatever, and people just want to represent that. When you go to someone's house, you see the name. Especially in Japan, it's a big thing, but of course it's totally different from our story. But your surname in Japan is like a major thing, right? Even when someone is addressing you, your last name comes first if they're talking about you, right? So it's not, you're writing things usually surname then your first name, right? So it's not going to be first name then last name. It's last name then your first name. See, so Dio said, my father changed our family name when he was 19. Look at that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So Bagman said it's like you allowed the slaves to live on through your children by preserving the family tree. Oh, wait. Am I misinterpreting what you said? Wait. I think I misinterpreted what you said. I think you meant something else when I was like, um, what's this? Yeah, I'll definitely I'll look into it. I'll look into it. But I know, like for instance, like my grandmother that they're saying she's from like the Maroons and stuff. That's at least just one thing that I've heard that's beyond. On that side, with my mom's side. But my father's side, there's not much that I know about that side. It's just so weird. Like apparently, from what I heard, like my grandfather never spoke about like his people before or whatever. So I don't know. So Tom said, remember, Ransom, most people during Reconstruction were illiterate, especially former slaves. So many of them kept the slave name for ID purposes. Understood. And then the next challenge is, I guess, even going beyond uh, removing that name is like getting a new one. Like, what would that name be? Right? What would be the origin? What would it represent? Right? Someone said, like an African name might be the truest name to get. And I've thought about that. Like, and a name from Africa would be more like, I'm like, okay, well, I know I'm from Africa. My foreparents are definitely from Africa. Not sure where, but if you can get a name, from there. But then again, if you come in contact with an African person, then they might say, "What's your name?" And you say something, and they're like, "Oh, da, da, da." And then you're like, "Oh, well, I kind of just gave it to myself. I'm not actually." And then that conversation would inevitably come up all the time, and then that might become a bit annoying to try to explain yourself. Um, but so I guess a lot of thought would have to be put into it when it comes on to the name, unless you just coin one from scratch, which is something I think I would do, just make something up. I think in Jamaica they had a program. I believe that the program was called "What's in a Name." Just talking about just the name and what is captured within that, what it represents. There's just so much. Listen, there's a lot, man. There is a lot when it comes onto stuff like that. But anyways, um, Dio is hilarious. So Dia said Christopher Columbus traveled the world as a blind man because he definitely did not know where the hell he was going. He thought he was in China and was in the Caribbean. That is hilarious. Um, Hilarious. Okay, Goat, I'm not even paying you any attention. You see, I'm ignoring you when you're talking this foolishness. So, dear Sin Ranzo, that's your ancestors speaking to your brother. Find out who you are and reconnect to your roots. If your grandmother descended from the Maroons, you have strong roots, brother. I gotta like talk to my grandmother too because like most of my my grandfathers are dead. My grandmothers are almost 100 years old now. Um, so yeah, I probably need to definitely have that conversation. Definitely. Earl, my brother, my friend. I am not naive. Okay, so trust me, I'm a very thoughtful person. I'm very jovial, but there's a lot that goes on behind. So when you're saying I should think about the practicality of what changing my name would mean for my daughter and my family, bro, I'm a deep thinker. Whether or not you believe it or not, I don't know what y'all think about me, but it's I'm not. Yeah, so I think about a lot of things. So it's not a decision that I would take lightly, but it's not something still that, yeah, it's not something that I think I'm more in favor of doing that than not doing it. And as I said before, it doesn't matter. That's what I'm saying. Because a lot of people, when you put forth something that you're thinking about, a lot of people might think about their own circumstance. And someone doing something else, they might feel as if it's saying something about them as well, right? Especially something like this, that's most black people might be in this predicament, the vast majority of us, right? Especially, as I said, those who came over on the boats, right? Or our foreparents that did that. We might be in the same circumstance. And if someone who is of that same circumstance is saying, oh, I'm going to do this, someone might be like, okay, are you saying that something is wrong with me? As I said before, I'm a thoughtful person. And this is a decision, of course, that I would have to make. And this is something that, yeah, when someone goes and they do the investigation, they would see, okay, this happened. Person changed their name at this point, or whatever the case is. In terms of for record keeping, and like in terms of like historical evidence, it's necessary, of course, for them to be able to track and like genealogy and all these things. But in terms of at least mentally, right, for the freedom of mind, for really as much as you can extricating yourself from that thing. It was the act of giving your property a name was an act. I'm thinking. So someone committed that, right? It was almost like a sort of like ceremony, right? It was almost like a sort of initiation, I guess. Like a human being, you stripped this person of their identity. And you're saying this now is who you are. And the circumstances under which that was done wasn't very inspiring at all. So I'm saying in my mind that was an is initiation ceremony. That within itself was some, like, you understand. So that was done then. So it was symbolic. So it's more so of the symbolism of me extricating myself from that reality. So it's the same way that this name was ascribed, if it was ascribed under those circumstances by me symbolically for my own self. And the thing is, I'm a man of my own mind. Not if my parents can tell me what to do. I do what I want. So based on my understanding, if I feel like I can do that symbolically to say, you know what, this is where this part symbolically ends, I'm removing myself from that. And from here on out, this is what my family will represent. Where now, as far as the name is concerned, and that chain that connects me back to that, I release it, freed myself from that, and now a new name and moving forward. But for records, people can check, okay, well, Ranzo changed this at this moment in time, and before that, this was a name for record keeping purposes, blah, blah, historically, they came from this lineage, blah, blah, whatever. But that's my decision to make. That's mine. I'm not telling anyone else to do that, right? No one has to do it. And if no one does it, I'm the type of person that I can do something and no one else does it, and I don't feel anyway. I'm not going to be like, oh my God, everyone is doing this, let me do it. That's not me. I don't mind walking the road alone, bro. Like, I have no problem whatsoever with that. I'm not easily influenced. But yeah, anyways, that's just me. I don't know, like, why I started talking about this. Because I got a dip soon. Oh God, I should have left at 12. Let's see what else is there. So oh, okay, cool. So Backpack Vegan said the process of picking my new, wait, let me put it up here. The process of picking my new last name was empowering. See, this is what I'm saying. However, I still keep track of my great grandparents' last name so that I can eventually trace the plantation they belong to. No, indeed, of course, I think it's necessary in terms of like tracing, and for just have the record or whatever. But I think symbolically, it means something. At least for me, that's what I'm thinking. And it's like, as I said, removing yourself from that, like, like it's like at one point you never had the choice, but now you do. So what do you do now? And then again, it's my own thing and my reasoning. I just have to be one that believes my reasoning. Someone else don't have to believe the reasoning or the way I arrive at my decision. The only thing that I think would prevent me from doing it is if I find out that, okay, well, it came from a good place. The circumstances around my foreparents getting the name was this or that, then I might say, okay, cool, I'll keep it. But if I find out that it actually came from a slave master under whatever circumstance, then I don't want it. It's done. Yes, many people kept their slave name after slavery, but there are a lot of black freemen. So some opted to change it. Indeed. Mr. Lin said, this channel is so influential to me that I almost feel bad for missing lives. The whole community is here. In here is amazing also. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate it. I think it's a city my grandfather fell in love with, and he gave part of that name to my mother. So that would be my last name if I didn't marry and decide to change my existing name. Yeah, and that's one reason too. Like as I said, my plan was to visit. Look, COVID-19, because I was planning to visit Africa later on this year, right? But of course, COVID-19 came. But next year, like if there's not some I don't know what the world is going to be like next year, but I plan to visit Africa next year. Let's see what happens. Oh, where am I? Let's see. I would encourage you. Slow. Yeah, talk. Yeah, cross harmonics. That's true. So, well, Backley said exactly what you said. When you do something based on your circumstance, people will think about it, how it affects them, and it's about you as a person and not others. Indeed. Also, so earlier saying, Rans, I'm not criticizing you, sir, but instead I'm only challenging your thought process. That's what I'm doing, sir. I think there's nothing that's wrong with my thought process whatsoever. Because this is something I've thought about. It's not something that I'm just talking to you guys about today because I'm like, oh yeah, let me just come on live and just talk about names. All this is just like free flowing. So whatever we come up with, as you guys know, we just talk about it. So blind guy, his wife, their life. They said, I'm late tonight, but hi to all. Let me put it up here. If I'm catching up correctly on the importance of names, then I believe in renaming your first name too. I have found first names to be just as much of a hindrance. Okay, understood. My position on first names is I like my first name, and I think because it was given by my parents, right? That's a name that like they thought about, right, for whatever reason, and they gave it to me. It's like when I gave my daughter her name, the circumstances governing, like, that, right? It's like, okay, we, like the name came, she got the name. But the last name is just something that just happens, right? It's like, okay, well, you're married, this is the name, you pass on the name. So that's something that's passed on, right? Versus being given. So I think the first name is given, right? and that's they call it the given name as well. So you give that to your offspring, your child. So for me, I don't have any grosses with that. That's fine as far as I'm concerned. But the surname is another story. Literally, it is another story altogether. There's a massive story behind that name that hasn't been told. Most of us don't know the story behind that name, right? But as I said, yeah, I spoke to my wife even about this too. But it's just a matter of we got to figure out like if I do go that route, like what the name would be. And I think even it's almost like the process of even doing that, I think might be even therapeutic. I don't know. Thinking about extricating yourself from this and maybe sailing off into something else. Like what will that be? It's a new adventure. It's a new, just this new thing, this newness. So Jamaica Funk said a deliberate act, same as castrating or lynching. Backlash. I had a friend who was adopted. She never changed her name to her adoptive parents or kept her birth parents' name. She decided to change her name entirely to make her own destiny. Indeed. It's funny because I'm talking to you guys like I'm convincing myself even more now to go through the process. I'm like, okay. Oh wow, man. Sorry to hear that deal, man. Yeah, Chilla Freeman, how you doing? Yeah, but guys, so we're gonna conclude there. I think this was a pretty interesting discussion. The things that we spoke about. Um, I never expected to talk about the last name thing at all, but it just kind of just came up. Like I was about to conclude, and then it just came into my mind. I'm like, okay, no, this is yeah, let's just talk about this. Um, Also, let's see. So Earl said, I feel so confident that within the very fortunate future, our people will take control of their conditions and there is no going back from this point. Ranzo, what you're doing here plays a pivotal role. I appreciate the thought, man, um, in that process. Okay, yeah, so guys, that's pretty much it. Just I guess just some, well, I don't know, like just some things to think about. I asked you guys to call in, no one called in today. Well, it's fine because you guys know I can just go. And I think this was a cool one. I think even for myself, some of the things that I was talking about, I think are necessary for us to even just think about and just examine. Um, did you take down my email address? I did. I took a picture of it, but I never. I couldn't write it down. So yeah, guys, I'll catch you guys again tomorrow at what time is it? So it's 12:24. I catch you guys tomorrow again, like same time, same place. Remember to subscribe if you haven't done so already. Remember to subscribe if you haven't done so already. I'll catch you guys tomorrow again. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for, the comments, the questions, informing me, challenging me, whatever. I appreciate it. Thanks for liking the video. I appreciate you guys. Until next time, bye for now, guys. That was my mouse. Look at that, my mouse. The challenges of a wireless mouse. Take care, guys. Oh no, it's the same link. It was the same link. SD. Take care, guys.